Official Wrestling presents Recent Developments. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of Recent Developments. It is just me, your host, Kieran, today. Croft is unavailable. We tried to figure out some logistics to try and make this work so we could both do it, but both of us, we couldn't get it right. So anyway, maybe a bit late, but let's review NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Kicking things off with the NXT Tag Team titles, Undisputed Era defending against Mustache Mountain. It's always quite weird seeing the heels come out first. I don't know why, but obviously Undisputed Era gets such a massive pop that it doesn't really matter, and that's the reason why they're coming out first. They wouldn't get as big of a pop as the champions if they came out second. And the crowd always really hot for the start. Undisputed Era so over, and even for an NXT tag team, and even for Adam Cole, who we'll come on to a bit later, they're just ridiculously over. I can't remember anyone being this over. I mean, Johnny Gargano's over as well. I guess he is definitely over. But it's not since the days of Nakamura and Balor have the crowd sort of reacted to people in this kind of way. So it's nice to see that there's still star power in NXT, but it's tough. Like, after these guys go up, where are you going to go from there? Because you've already signed half the guys in the UK to NXT UK, the other half are on World of Sport, the other half, there's probably, out of the top tier wrestlers in the UK now, I would say there's about 10% who aren't signed to a major company who are actually worth a sniff of glue. That was a really weird. No one ever says that. What the hell? Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see where NXT goes once the likes of Undisputed Era have been called up to the main roster. Same with Gargano and Ciampa, but we'll see. On to the match. There was an amazing spot where Tyler Bate jumped over the top rope and took out O'Reilly, then did his impressive butterfly bounce-off thing, but he did it off the bottom rope, clotheslined Roderick Strong, threw in one of them. We're doing this a couple of weeks after. I probably could have watched it again. I could have watched it again because it was a brilliant match. Hit a Tyler driver, but they then kicked out. There was genuinely points in this where I thought Mustache Mountain are gonna win this. They're gonna topple them. They're gonna take back the titles. But I love the story of the towel, of Trent almost throwing in the towel and then throwing it into the crowd. It was like, no, I believe in you. You can do this. But I was absolutely gutted that Undisputed Era retained. I'm not gonna lie. I love them, but I love Mustache Mountain even more. It was actually something that Edge and Christian said on their podcast about this match, that Mustache Mountain didn't. There was never a pin that was broken up, and so therefore they never had them beaten. Mustache Mountain never had Undisputed Era beaten, which is which was an incredibly good point. And it just made, but then at that same time, it makes Undisputed Era look incredibly strong, which, given what happened after the match, they definitely needed, because the War Raiders came out, not War Machine, but which, for those, they're called War Raiders because of heavy machinery, because you can't have two machines. Yawning, bloody hell, I just woke up. Yeah, the War Raiders came out, made a statement. I would imagine we're getting that match, the War Raiders versus Undisputed Era, at the next TakeOver event. Gonna be interesting, gonna be good to see. Next up is our boy, our absolute recent developments boy, Velveteen Dream. Absolutely love him. Against EC3. Velveteen comes out with "Call Me Up Vince" on his trunks. Unbelievable pop for that. Just thought it was fantastic. The twisting DDT onto the ramp was insane. Dream just owned this match. He just owned it. Then the Death Valley driver onto the apron. Then the elbow drop onto the apron, and Velveteen Dream picks up the win. It was a really good match, really good showing. EC3 still does nothing for me, gimmick-wise and in the ring. I just don't see the hype. I do not see the hype right now, unless they're going to turn him... He's sort of tweener at the moment, and I think if they went full comedy heel with him, because apparently that's his best shtick, then I could see it fully working. But I just don't know. I just do not know what it is about him. I think he still stinks of TNA. I think that might be the problem. And a lot of his moveset is very TNA-ish. You know, there's nothing very impressive. It's quite... I don't want to say basic moves, but they're very easy executed, not that impressive moves. You know what I mean? And I don't know. There's just something that isn't quite gripping me on. Other people love him. I'm pretty sure if Croft was here, Croft might be fighting in his corner as well. But yeah, EC3 still does absolutely nothing for me. But Velveteen Dream got the win, and I think this is his first ever. Takeover win, which is good. Excellent. Good to see my boy. And I just want another... I'm still going to go on about this fucking t-shirt. I want a better Velveteen Dream t-shirt. You bastards. Matt Bloody Riddle! They've gone and signed him. Who else is there left to sign? It's getting ridiculous now. They've signed Keith Lee. They've signed Matt Riddle. It's just the pool of independent stars at the moment is getting smaller and smaller. And when I say independent, I mean independent. It's mental. It really is mental. You look across the board at how many... And I judge this by those who come over to England, because that's the only thing that I see is the international stars who come over, and anybody else who wrestles on the British Indies, because that's what I know. I can't speak for the American Indies or anywhere else in the world. So you've got Ospreay and Skrull, who do work for some companies in the UK. I'm not sure. I can't remember the last time Marty Scurll worked in this country, to be fair. Maybe he works for some companies down south. I don't know. But obviously, Marty Scurll and Will Ospreay, huge in New Japan. Then you look at World of Sport, which, of course, I guess is... or WOS Wrestling, should I say. They get... they've got a pretty big roster, and by no means a full-time company yet, and people are still free to pursue, but people are still signed to that company, and it's a big deal because it's on TV. You then look at everyone in the NXT UK thing, which apparently is just another... It's like a Progress offshoot being funded by WWE. That's what I've heard. Which, when you see the amount of people who are signed to NXT UK and those who work for Progress, it's a bit obvious, really. But we shall see. I mean, I'm not having a go at all, because Progress are the best English promotion going, absolutely, and they've toured America. They're going on a tour to Germany pretty soon, so it's just to see who's left. I mean, and I will throw this in: how Mark Haskins isn't signed to either World of Sport or NXT UK, I do not know. Anyway, I've gone on a tangent. Supposed to be talking about NXT TakeOver, but I'm just getting really kind of emotional about the indies. Stop taking everyone good. Moving on to Ricochet versus Adam Cole for the North American title. Ricochet really feels like a big deal. He just, his whole entrance is so superhero, and I really can't wait for him to be brought up to the main stage to see his entrance at like a WrestleMania, because that is the only big stage now, because all other sets are exactly the same. Even making an entrance at SummerSlam used to be cool. Making an entrance at the Royal Rumble used to be cool, but it's all the same sets now, so there's just nothing special about anything that anything, they're all, to me, as they're longer and they put on better shows, but they all still feel like B shows. Unlike NXT, because you're going to a big stadium, you're going out of Full Sail to go to a bigger stadium, and that's the allure of it. And also Triple H does a fantastic job of making sure that people get these special type of entrances for these types of shows. So Ricochet feels like a huge deal, and Adam Cole, to quote A Few Good Marks co-presenter Alex, is so over. He is ridiculously over, and he's just brilliant. I absolutely adore Adam Cole. He's boss. This match was brilliant. It was so good. It was vintage TakeOver, as you might say. It's just it's one of those matches that you just expect from a TakeOver. It's brilliant. There was the one spot you have to talk about on this match was the mid moonsault super kick, and they slowed it down, and I've seen it zoomed in and everything, and he catches him right on the money, kicks him in the jaw, knocks him off balance. It was wonderful, though it was timed to perfection and executed perfectly, and yet Ricochet still kicked out, which was fantastic. Rana over the top rope to the outside was a bit fucking cool. And we have a brand new champion. Ricochet hits his ridiculously cool spinning swanton to pick up or senton even to get the win. Fuck, what a match. What a match. New North American champion. Adam Cole's been unseated. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes from this. Does he get his rematch? Does he go for the main title? Do Undisputed Era get called up? We'll have to wait and see, because anything that they do with him, like, he is money. He is absolute money. He will do all sorts. And yeah, just I'm absolutely love this match. I don't think I could sing this match's praises enough. I think this was probably match of the night for me. I'd have to say, even after the main event, this was in terms of an actual wrestling match, and in terms of a solid wrestling match, this was match of the night. But we'll come on to the main event in just a second. Next up was the NXT Women's title. Shayna Baszler defending against Kairi Sane. This match was really slow until Kairi Sane hit her first elbow drop and Baszler kicked out. It then started to pick up. And after that point, it actually became a pretty decent match. But Kairi Sane won and is the new NXT Women's Champion. Hey. They're changing the titles here. 2 title changes in a row. Are we going to get a third? It was a bit. It was good. But this match was okay. See, the problem I think with the women's division is you had Bayley and Sasha Banks not only have the Classic in Brooklyn, and then have the 30-minute Iron Man match, which was also fucking amazing. But it set this huge standard, and I'm not saying that the women aren't living up to that or can't live up to that, because of course they can. But we haven't seen a match on that stature, I don't think, for a while. A lot of Asuka's matches were very good. But there was just, I don't know, maybe it's just the chemistry and it was a one-off. You get these, and I could, that could be said for a lot of main event matches, for especially like since Nakamura and Joe, their matches were boss. Joe and Finn Balor, their matches were boss. And So it's a bit of a dip period for the women's division, but I know Croft has his reservations about Kairi Sane, but I quite like her. I'm sure Croft would have marked out for Shayna Baszler mocking Kairi Sane's walking stomp to then deliver the elbow in the corner. But yeah, this match was it was good after Kairi Sane hit the elbow drop, which is the main thing. There was about the 5 minutes after that were really good. It just took a while to build up, which is interesting that it, like if they'd have started with the finisher and then gone from there, it would have been a brilliant match. But there was just that beginning bit that was just a bit iffy. My other note here is that the crowds have been shit, and I think this is probably one of the worst takeover crowds that we've had. I think Brooklyn have been spoiled with it, and now as we've seen WWE moving SummerSlam to Toronto for 2019, I think that's a brilliant move. Take up to Canada. It's like the first pay-per-view in Canada for quite a while, I believe, and for it to be a SummerSlam as well, which is huge. That's going to be great. The last time that... actually, when was it? Can't have been that long ago, because there was a takeover in Toronto, wasn't there? So, can't have been too long ago. But anyway, it'd be nice to see this shake-up, especially for what many consider to be sort of NXT's WrestleMania was Brooklyn. So now it's going to build up to be this new Toronto. But I think it'd be good just to have a change of crowd, because they were not great. Brooklyn, you let me down. Anyway, on to the last match. This was... Everyone ranted and raved over this match, and from a storyline point of view, yeah, it was brilliant. I was lost for words. This match was so great. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT title in a last man standing match. If you didn't know what I was on about, this match was fantastic. But like, I guess the whole story was Gargano needed to, he didn't care about the title. He just cared about hurting Ciampa. But then Ciampa still walked away the winner, so you didn't hurt him that much. That's the point of wrestling. Or is the point you're trying to make that you hurt yourself that much, that it doesn't matter, you don't care about winning the match? But then what does that say about the NXT title? And I get this feud is absolutely massive and has gone on, I said, 3 different types of matches, which were all gimmick matches. You had the unsanctioned, the street fight, now last man standing. And they had some incredible spots in this match, and the way it was finished with Ciampa rolling off the stage, just landing on his feet, he was standing, the absolute dickhead that he is. It was a brilliant match, but I don't know. To me, Gargano came off a little bit stupid. Like, I think it would have wounded Ciampa more had you done all that damage to him and then taken the title off him as well. It just, Gargano, I guess, I don't know, I'm in two minds about it, because it's like, you would have wounded him more if you'd have won the match, taken his title off him, but then you wanted to just physically end his career, but then you lost the match and he still won. And he still walked out of the building, so what have you achieved? If both men... If Ciampa had gotten to his feet and then collapsed and had to been stretched out like Gargano, or helped out the arena like Gargano was, that would have been, he would have been on the same sort of plane. But I mean, this storyline, I don't think it's over, and they're sort of leaving it, this sort of bookmark in it, for undoubtedly will be ruined and oversaturated by the main roster, the creative team. But it was a brilliant match, and I think that's what needs to be taken away from this. The amount of pain and punishment these two are willing to go through to entertain these fans, and you just believe that they absolutely hate each other. That they was just so good. But so, I mean, this was match of the night, but as far as actual wrestling matches go, Ricochet and Adam Cole topped it for me. But this match, both were on par. They were just brilliant. And that is that for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Let us know what you thought. Let us know in the comments down below. Hopefully Croft will be back for the next time we do one of these. We might do one in about a month's time, just to catch up on all the recent developments in NXT, because that's what it's called. Hey. But for now, folks, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go and listen to a few good marks, and listen to any other podcasts that we put out as well. Also, myself and Willow have been busy doing work for TNT Extreme Wrestling, a promotion in Liverpool. Big things coming out of them. We have now started a review and preview podcast for the good people at TNT. So if you're in the local area of Liverpool and you want some really good wrestling, go down to that. And we will see you next time. Cheers for listening, folks. Bye-bye.